Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be here in the greenhouse working with some of our seedlings. I need to thin some, I'm going to separate others, and then we need to fertilize everything. So I thought I'd just walk you through what I do with my seedlings at this stage. And we've got a kind of a variety of things going on at the moment. When we're done with that, we're going to head to the studio and do some houseplant repotting because I wanted to do some garden maintenance. The weather's supposed to turn here in just a little bit. Like right now, just a super light breeze. It's chilly, but you can see the clouds are looking pretty dark, and it looks even darker that way. So anyway, seemed like a more pleasant thing to do to work on some things under cover, especially because the wind is supposed to really pick up in a little while, and we've got 85% chance of rain. So anyway, so here are the seedlings, and maybe we'll throw up on the screen the dates that all of these were planted. But we've got our retro echinops, or globe thistle is the common name. I feel like we just planted these week before last. They came up fast, no stratification, like no cold period, just seed straight from my seed bin right into the trays, and they came up beautifully. I've got action in every cell. Now I don't think I'm going to be doing anything in terms of thinning these today, even though I've got a couple in some of the cells, because I want to see how these little ones do. Like this one looks a little strange, and I don't know if that's going to survive the way I want it to. So I like to leave a few extras in here so I can separate if I need to and fill up an empty hole. I don't think I have any empty holes in the snapdragons though. These we planted, did we plant these the same day? I can't remember. It doesn't feel like they've been in the trays for very long, but you can see these are thick, and I don't want a tremendous amount of snapdragons. Like I just want whatever 72 times 3 is. So we will be thinning these with some pruners. And then we've got our lisianthus. These were started toward the end of November because I just wanted to experiment. We've got other trays in the studio that are way behind these. But this is the Voyage 2, and it looks like I don't need to do any thinning here. I've got one per cell. Right here, we've got the Mariachi White, which we had a ton come up in here. Kind of want to separate some of these. I won't keep probably all of them, but there's a lot, and they look really healthy. And real quick, I did want to show you our Iris reticulata. We planted these in this container maybe in December, and all the leaves started to shoot up just a couple weeks ago, and we've got our first 2 little blooms in there. Over here on this side, I have our tray of anise hyssop, which you can see that they look very healthy. I have already separated a bunch of these. Look at that. Look at all those seedlings. Those are all anise hyssop, and they all came out of here. So wherever I had multiples, like in this cell, I had multiples come up. I took them out of the cell, separated them, and planted the extras. But I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cells left to do. And then, of course, you guys know we've been working on potting up all of our geranium babies. I don't have any containers for them available yet, but that's okay. In terms of like popping them up from these small 4-packs up to 4-inch size. So we still have these 2 and those to pot, but that'll be for another day. Couple other updates. We've got the Crispino lettuce, iceberg lettuce, looking amazing. And then we've got, this is our second crop of radishes right here. Oh, and you know what? Almost everything in this green stock, spinach, greens, this is butter crunch right here. This is an Asian salad mix right here. Look at how beautiful. Yeah, everything's doing really well. I've already harvested a couple. Like there was, what was in here? Butter crunch. There was butter crunch in this one as well. Yeah, so we've already harvested a few of the pockets out. Rosemary looking amazing. I love these for herbs and strawberries so much. You remember we had chives that we cut way back when we did the last clean out. We've got parsley coming up. Look at how pretty. And then the other 2 are full of strawberries. Okay, so I think what we'll do is start with our snapdragon thinning first, because that's probably our easiest project. I'm using these right here, the 322s, to do this because they've got a long, nice, narrow blade, so you can get in there real easily. Okay, so with our snapdragons here, you can see like this one and this one just have 1 plant per cell, which is perfect. That's what you want. You'll have healthier seedlings if they do not have to compete with one another like these are for light and nutrients and water and airflow and all that business. So to thin them, let's see if I get closer. You just look in here, and I try to find the one that's most centered in the cell, but you just snip out at the base the ones you want to get rid of. just like that. Now this one will not have to compete anymore. When you snip your seedlings out, it just stops the growth of that little seedling. It's not a strong enough, big enough plant to continue to grow. If you were to pull on that seedling instead, the roots sort of grow together in there. All these little plants, all the roots are kind of entangled. If you pull on the roots of the ones you don't want to keep, it could possibly upset or damage the roots of the plant you want to keep. So snipping is the best and quickest way to go about it. So here's a before look at our first tray of snapdragons. Let's get it thinned out and then we'll take a look. Okay, here is the after. Doesn't that look better? I mean, less green for sure, but just one plant per cell, so they'll be a lot happier. And when we're all done today, we will fertilize these. And at this stage, we'll still do half strength fertilizer. I'm doing full strength on the geraniums because they're much bigger, and the hyssop and the lisianthus, but like on the echinopsis and snapdragons are just too small and too new. So we'll do half strength of the grow, liquid grow, right here. So you usually do a half a cap per quart of water for full strength. So we'll just do a quarter of a cap per quart of water when we get ready to fertilize. I'm going to get the other 2 trays of snapdragons done. Okay, all the snapdragons are done and they look really good. Okay, so now we're gonna work on separating these lisianthus, and I just really wanna get one more tray out of them. So instead of 24 plants, we will have 48 in the end, and I'll thin out everything else. Okay, first we need to get the seedlings out of the tray, and I'm just gonna use these little tongs right here. They slide in on either side of the root ball and help you lift it right out. Oh my goodness. Look at the root system on this thing. So I've got 3 plants in here. So what I do is I just gently ease them apart. See how much those roots grow together? That's why pulling out extra seedlings can be so detrimental instead of snipping them, unless you're gonna do what I'm doing right now, which is not always the case. Oh my gosh. So that is a beautiful single plant right there. So we need 24. There's one more little guy. Here we go. And then here's the third. Let's do that again. Look at that, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna gently do this first, just in case they're tangled at the bottom. It's okay if you hear a few roots snap, that's fine. As long as it comes out mostly intact like that, you're good. See, there's a whole bunch of little ones. I don't think I'm gonna bother to save the little itty bitty ones, but these definitely. These I don't wanna save, the little ones that look kind of sick. Okay, I'm gonna keep separating until I have 24 ready to go into this tray. Okay, we've got a bunch of them separated, and I filled up my seed tray with pre-moistened, just regular potting mix here. And I don't have it packed in very tight because some of these root balls are a lot bigger than others. So I wanted them to be easy to plant. So I just make a little well with my finger and then just try to make sure all those roots make it down there. Add a little bit more soil around the base of the plant and tamp it in a little bit lightly. We don't want to pinch those roots down there, but oh, look at that. Oh, love it. So we'll do that 23 more times. There it is, brand new fresh tray lisianthus. Now we need to fill in our gaps. And here's our original seed tray with just one plant per cell. And we have exactly 25 seedlings left. Even though some of them are itty bitty, they're still really healthy plants. So I think we're gonna do one more tray. Some plants feel worth it to separate and grow on instead of thin out. Like snapdragons, easy to grow, really quick. The seed is not super expensive. Lisianthus, on the other hand, it takes like months longer to get them from seed to a position where you can plant them outside. The seed's more expensive. Usually the seed's pelletized, so it only lasts a year. So anyway, I kind of want to stretch these as far as we can get them. So taking one tray and making 3 out of it, that makes me happy. That's a lot of beautiful white lisianthus to work with later on. It's raining now. Can you hear it? Just gently. You want to know what makes it even more cozy? So sweet. The greenhouse is the best place to be when it's raining. Okay, let's get our 3rd tray filled up. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up my fertilizer. So regular strength would call for 2 full caps per 2 gallons of water, which is what this watering can holds. And I use this one so that the water comes out nice and easy on my seedlings. But since we're doing half strength, I'm just going to do 1 full cap. I shake it first. It smells kind of minty. 1 full cap, and then we'll fill it up with water. Always fertilizer first, because when you put your water in, it mixes it all up for you. You don't have to stick anything down in there. All right. All right, here we go. I think I mentioned that I have been fertilizing my lisianthus at full strength, which I have been for a few weeks now. But since I needed to fertilize the snapdragons and other seedlings that are younger as well, and I knew I could probably do it with 1 of these filled up, I just decided to do them all at half strength. Those all look so great. So now we know they're all thinned, separated, fertilized, and good to go. So now we just have the rest of the anise hyssop to work on, and that's going to be pretty much it for seedling work in the greenhouse. Then we can move into the studio. I need 4-inch containers, which I do not have in here. I gotta go find some. Okay, I got a whole bunch of 4-inch containers, and we can do a few geraniums too. The difference in 4-inch containers, these are technically a 4-inch container, but you can't fit 3 of them across in a standard size seedling tray. But this size right here, you can. So see, the ones I've been using for the anise hyssop, they're a little bit larger. And the ones that I'm using for geraniums are a tiny bit smaller, because we need to be able to maximize space here, or try to at least. Okay, same procedure with the anise hyssop as we just did with the lisianthus. We're going to gently take them out of their tray, separate them, and then get them repotted. the anise hyssop is done, so now instead of just 24 plants, we have a total of 73. Isn't that amazing? And I don't intend on keeping all 73 plants myself. I mean, we have space to plant them out in the south garden and the dirt lands, certainly, but I've got a couple of friends who really want a few of these as well. And while we were at it, I did get these 7 last Maverick white geraniums potted up as well. So those will be very happy in a larger home. Just something we keep plugging away at until we get them all done. So we're done here in the greenhouse. We're gonna head to the studio. Okay, here in the studio, you can see the 3 plants that I'd like to get all potted up today. I've got my pots and saucers out and potting soil here. I've got water in my watering can. Got everything we need. So let's run through the plants we've got. This is a syngonium called 3 Kings. Isn't that beautiful? It's a type of arrowhead plant. They're pretty easy to take care of, bright and direct light. This one will kind of trail or climb a bit. But the cool thing about this plant is that the variegation is very stable. So you don't have to do anything special to keep the variegation going. In fact, more white comes out on the leaves as they mature. It's just such an interesting looking plant, and I thought it would be really pretty inside of this container right here. And it isn't a fussy plant. Like, you want to water it when about the top 1 to 2 inches of soil has dried out. Same with all 3 of these that we have here today. And all of these like bright and direct light. One of them can handle a little bit moderate light instead of bright light, but all of them, a bright and direct spot is perfect. Direct sunshine is a no-go, and full shade is a no-go, somewhere in between. And then we've got this beautiful philodendron. This is a variegated, is it burl marks? Is that how you say it? It's so pretty. Now, all of these I got down at my parents' garden center, all 3 of these. The cool thing about this one is that no one leaf is the same. They're all different with different variations of variegation. And I love that bright chartreuse with that deep green. I think it's just so, so pretty. Look at this one right here. So it's just a very interesting plant. Now this one is fairly fast growing, so I'm gonna be putting this 4-inch pot or plant root ball in a tiny bit of a bigger pot than I normally would bump it up into, just because it is faster growing. This one's only hardy down to a zone 11, but if you should happen to live in a zone like that, I guess they're really fast growing. Like, they'll grow to kind of a viney, bushy shrub, like 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. I would love to see one of these in its natural habitat. And then our last one here is a pothos called Cebu Blue. I think I got one of its leaves trapped. There we go. This is such a gorgeous plant. The color of the leaves, beautiful. Now this one needs to have the bright indirect light. It can't handle low light situations. This one, you can go slightly like moderate to bright indirect light, but this one definitely makes sure that it's got that bright indirect light, but it's very, very low maintenance. It doesn't want a ton of water. It doesn't need a lot of care. You can see that it's got a nice vining growth habit. I think it'll look beautiful. That color of foliage in with that kind of aged terracotta. I was reading up about this variety the other day, and somewhere I read that the branches, the stems can get like 8 feet long inside, but outside in its natural habitat, like zones 9 through 11, the branches can get upwards of 40 feet long. I can't even imagine. So anyway, that's the 3 that we're gonna pot up. We're gonna use the same potting soil for all 3. Should go pretty quickly. Oh, I was trying to be clean. Oh, not happening today. All done. They look so great. I love it. So the syngonium in this little aged terracotta pot, and these are the saucers that we sealed. So see the water at the bottom there? None of that will seep through onto our surface. Same goes for here. See that little shininess in there? That's not water, that's our seal. So because these are terracotta too, these are clay. So water would still seep through, and we have that one sealed as well. But I think this one looks perfect in this container, little rock top dress there. Same for this one. This is a gray clay pot that, you know, has clearly been used. It's got a nice patina on the side, which I love. And it looks appropriately sized. Even though it was only a little 4-inch round, the height of the plant up top, I don't know, it just looks really good. And then this one, I don't know if I could pick a favorite, but I just love the soft sagey green / blue with this pot. I think that's a good look. And I did go ahead and top dress this one, usually with hanging plants or plants that kind of cover the top. I don't do that with, but I thought you could see enough of it to where it would make it look really finished if we went ahead and did it. And I'm gonna let these stay in the studio here for a few days because this room is very humid. I don't know if it's just all the plants that we have in here or the seed starting. The humidity always kicks up a notch when we do seed starting in here. So because these plants are used to that, I'm gonna let them get used to their new pots in here, and I'll just set them on the floor, kind of set back from the grow light a little bit so they're not right underneath it, but they're still getting some of the bright light. And then eventually we'll move them into the house. And you guys, that's gonna do it for today's projects. Really happy with everything we got done, and I'm really glad we decided to stay inside because it's been pouring rain. It's still pouring outside, and it hailed for a little while. The wind never picked up, but it's still pleasant to be inside working on projects like this that I needed to get done anyway and not have to brave the weather. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.